Julian set this up so it's just like a family here tonight, so I'm not even gonna stand up here. Tonight we have Bruce, I'm Barbara Dempsey. Tonight we have Bruce and Julie Stack. I'm not Bruce, Bill and Julie Stack. Too comfortable. Bruce is his son, and Bruce is here with Sue. So, Bill graduated from Edwardsburg in 1952. He was born in Niles, but moved here when he was 6. And I knew all this, and you know, he graduated from Edwardsburg in 1952, and he served in the Air Force. And then he married his love, Jenny, in 1954, and she died in 2016. After his service work, he worked part-time for his dad, George Stack, in his shop across the street. And he worked full-time at Williams Products and Belvedere Corporation in Elkhart. Bill is a past commander of the American Legion, and he's a member of St. Peter's Masonic Lodge, serves on the Mason Township Fire Board, and still volunteers for the Edwardsburg Fire Department, where, of course, Bruce is the chief. And Bruce's son Kevin is a captain.
Is he captain?
So Julie resides with her dad, and she is his caregiver. She graduated from Edwardsburg in 1979, and she's very active on the Edwardsburg Fire Auxiliary. She told me that when she started, there were 15 members, and now there's only about 5 or 6 members. So she's very busy with the Fire Auxiliary when they do things. But Julie is a crafter. And she is into making vegan leather jewelry.
That's a joke.
And she does a lot of crafting, a lot of beading, a lot of sewing, a lot of cooking. And of late, she has really been making a lot of dumplings. And she was telling me how she loves to make blueberry sauce and put the dumplings on top. So we'll have to remember that if we ever need dumplings here at the museum, that she's our girl. I asked Julie, because Julie graduated from Western Michigan University with a degree in history. A lot of you may not know that, but I just got her to agree to maybe do some research for us when we have some research to be done, because she's got that history background. So anyway, they're going to talk tonight about their lives in Edwardsburg. And I'm going to get out between the two of them, and they're going to get a little closer so that they can use the microphone. They may have to pass it back and forth so you can hear them, but it's all yours, guys. Thank you.
He's looking for you. You first, John is looking for you.
Okay, my name's Bill Stack. People's showing up tonight, and everybody wants to know about the fires in Edwardsburg.
Your experience, how's that?
Experience? Well, a little bit. But I remember I think one of the biggest fires was when the grain elevator burned down here. I remember it was in the 6th or 7th grade, and they left everybody out of school, which is a good deal, you know. Got out of school to come up and pump water and stuff down there by the thing, by the elevator. People's wells went dry and stuff down there. And finally, I think it was South Bend bought a big pumper, brought it in, set it down here at Eagle Lake where the swimming pump, where we used to swim at down there. Backed it right up the lake and started pumping water up to the intersection out here in Edwardsburg. Had a little 36 fire truck. They pumped to that, and they was pumping that down to the elevator and put it out. So I guess that's what saved us. We made it into a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it. That's one of them. I don't know how far you want to go on this. You just want fire, or do you want anything?
No, your experience. When did you start the fire department? I'll ask you questions.
Okay. I started at the fire department in 1957.
How old were you?
Well, about 57, probably 22, 20, 57. Geez, I don't know.
So you've been on the department almost 70 years.
Yeah. So probably got about, well, I think 3 from 12 is 9, 3 from...
No, it's okay.
Oh, 6, 7. Okay, got in there. I started way back when.
What were the trucks like? What equipment did you have?
Well, the first fire station was across the street here, right straight across. Everybody remembers where the fire station was across. I remember the first 2 trucks they had in there was a 36 Ford fire truck and a Model T chemical truck.
Oh, my God.
That was the village hall and the fire department, so they had 2 pieces of equipment and another piece sitting in the back. I don't remember what that was. But so they sit there, and that's what they had to start out with. And then as the community grew, they had to grow too with bigger trucks and stuff and everything. And I got in trouble one time. Well, we'll go back one little way. We had one fire out here, and I was in the garage. That's when we had the telephone system. We went from sirens to telephones to pagers. That's when there was about 13 telephones. They would ring, they would answer it, and then they called people, the rest of the people. So working in the garage, and one fella come in to me, he says, you know, the telephone is ringing over in the fire station. I says, can you answer? I said, well, I'll go answer it, you know. I think everybody remembers Gladys Clare.
Yes.
Used to be the telephone operator. She says, Bill. I says, yes. She says, well, can you take a truck out to Van Duzen's out there on Terrace, out there on Pine Lake Road? I said, yeah, I'd take it in. And they wanted a little tanker we had there. We had a small tanker for a while. And this fellow says, well, I drive those around Chicago to Casper where I work. He says, I'll drive that out. I said, okay. So I take it out there, parked it, and then Jim Bigelow come up, and I says, it's yours, Jim, I gotta go back to town, because I had a customer in the garage waiting, and so I had to find a road back, but then later on, some people, like, I drove the fire truck out there, you know, but it drove just like the old wrecker, so what was the difference?
Did you have a driver's license then?
I had a special license for a while, I had, because they worked on helping picking up wrecks and stuff, so that state police now worked to get me a special license so I could drive the wrecker and go out and pick up the wrecks and bring them in. That's the only thing I could do. Couldn't drive the car, but could drive the wrecker. You know.
I weren't old enough yet, right?
That's right.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
Well, how big of an area did you service with the fire department at that time?
At that time, we here in Ottawa Township, I think it was when we had Mason Township, Summit Jefferson, and at one time, I remember, I think we went Melton Township. We served more of a bigger area than what we do now. And we only had 2 trucks. 1 truck, 2 trucks were down probably, then they bought a 48 truck, fire truck they had, and then they went to the 51 tanker. So we covered those areas for quite a while, but you had to rely on mutual aid. Always had to rely on mutual aid, know where you wanted it and stuff. We got it, and it worked good, everything. So we just worked that way and just kept progressing. And then they got 3 more trucks, and then their village moved out. We had more room, so we could get a couple more trucks. So they had that 48 and the 51, then they bought a 56 tanker, you might as well say. It was a 56 Ford with 1,000 gallons of water on it. We had the old 51 had 1,000 gallons of water on it. So we had enough water to get started with and everything to go. Then pretty soon, you know, then we got a grass rig, and they had cut a hole in the wall in the back and put in the door. Put a grass rig in there. So we had the grass rig. So we had pretty well set up. But sometimes when you went in there, they didn't get the truck right. You had to suck in your belly to get down to the wall to get the truck to go. And depending on how they put the trucks away. And it was lots of fun, you know, in there, trying to get in and out. And then if you left one that didn't have water, water got out of one time, and they'd come out, and the fill on top took the top of the door out, the overhead door out, so I put that back in, so next time you always had to keep water in it, it was all right. Well, we just had, then we dropped over into, they got the whole station, and we stayed in there until about 57 or something. We built a new, when they built a new station, it was run out of room in that station, so they built a new station. It was still where Jason's Automotive is over here. In fact, there was more room than
That was in 1970.
1970. They built a big station. Then finally we had run out of room again. We got too many trucks. So we put, as the community grew, you had to kind of grow with it to make what you could work, and the money. Money was the biggest problem, getting to go. Then they got into that, so then now we're down at the old Georgia wood plant, and that is, well, full too. So,
Yeah.
but everything is brought to progress with the community. Stuff like we've got a boat, we've got the boat that go out after people in the fields and stuff, and it's just progress bigger and bigger and bigger.
That was 2006. It was 2006 when we
Yeah.
took over to Georgia Boys. So there's a lot more bays up there too.
So we got a lot more room, we got offices for everybody, the chief's got an office now, you know, before he had just a floating office. Desk. Well, I guess you know Bruce and my son, chief, huh?
It makes it easier to find him when we didn't go to the office, so we know he's there.
But it's, that's what it is, and I think some of the other fires we've had, and the one that really got me is the time when we, I remember leaving the station going home, we'd have high winds, and that's when the stables caught on fire out here on that road. I was going home, I'd seen the smoke going, the leaves, and the time I got home, the tones went off, and the time I turned around, got back, I could smell the wood smoke, the bars of the buffalo farm, the wood was burning so fast. And that worked out pretty good, that we got everybody in the county, plus we had tanker shuttles that go in, and that a lot of tankers from Indiana come, everybody mutual aid, they all come to help. Everybody likes putting the white stuff on the red stuff. So it's just those,
It's good that we have friends around us, so I think about that. Because I think that was, we had Clay Township, we had like Cleveland, maybe Oslo, is that right?
road.
I was gonna say, then we even have Pokagon, which is clear up in Cass, they came down, probably to watch it, maybe, no, okay, I'm checking with Bruce back there. Because he's like telling me, but we had quite a few people out here, and we won't forget it as an auxiliary, because that was, we were called to go into action that night, because they had so many guys, and they were right around dinner, and they were hungry, so we were like, what do we do? So we ended up calling Little Caesars. Those people probably thought we're absolutely nuts. I don't know how many pizzas we ordered, but we ordered a ton of pizzas, and we had to take Sue's vehicle, because hers was the biggest, loaded the back of it up with pizza and people, and then half of our auxiliary, I think, well, part of it, our horse people. So it was kind of, I know when we first saw it, we had to go through where they actually broke through the fence out there, and we had to go through that and come back around, the guys were steering us in, because we kept telling them, we got food, and they go, you go this way, so everybody let us in, you know, we're like, thank you. And so we finally got a place to stop, and then we all just kind of just stood there in amazement, because nothing was left, and it was just devastating, you know, for us, and I mean, we didn't even own the horses in there, but it was like, I'm very happy that they got out, though, and, because it went fast, and it was furious, and sometimes it can get mean, but we got through it, and I'll remember that as an auxiliary member of that fire. And we weren't called out to too many fires. Some we do for just drinks and stuff, but that one was definitely, I don't think any of us ever hit that night at all.
Okay.
Okay, now, let's see. Truck wise.
Truck line.
No, I was just trying to think what else you can, you're not done yet.
Okay.
We are counting on you too.
Well, you just keep progressing with the community, and just like now, they just bought a new truck, another truck, about $377,000, four-wheel drive. International, we can, we're going back to these people that like to build back in the woods where we cannot get in with the regular trucks. So you don't have the ground clearance on the regular trucks on the ground, but heat shields underneath them to keep the pumps warm and stuff, and they don't build them too high anymore like they used to. So that's what we got now, that we go in and we pump from all four sides. We can drive from all four sides, which means we can set a porta pond up on any side of that truck and pull it by a creek, you can drop it over into the creek and start pumping water. It's back where we get to. But that's the biggest problem right now is with the fires, is the people building back in there and stuff. And it's just like, I attended a lecture in Lansing, that fire up there, that Mother School, what town hall meetings, I think it was. Most of the place, when people I talked to, is trying to get it wrote into their building ordinance that you had to perform a 12 by 12 entrance for us to get in. So we could get into the fires, And it's getting that way where the people are way back in there. We got 5-inch hose, we can lay a couple thousand feet of 5-inch hose, probably lay a couple miles maybe we got put in. That's good, but each foot of that 5-inch hose though takes a gallon of water, and gets it full till it gets to where you want it to go and stuff. So we have to have some pretty good water backup, so we can do that pretty good. That helps us there, and it's just the only thing you can do because they're just like the bills back there. They want you to come back, they want you back there, but it's just like, up on Lake, while back on Lake Michigan up there, they had $1 million house burning back in on the lake and stuff, and the boys went with their truck, and all of a sudden they didn't go any farther, they got stuck between 2 trees. So they go turn around and sue the fire department for their house burning down. In fact, I talked to one guy, I guess they just passed this 12 by 12 entrance in that station where they didn't have the 12 by 12, so they could get in. Everybody thinks you're talking through your mind, but you can't get through with some. And if you do try to get through some of these big trucks, that's like big trucks, we got $500,000 down there, sitting down there, probably more. Each, and you take those out, scratch the paint job up, the supervisor doesn't have to pay for some kind of stuff, the way you do it, do. But most of the fires, we've had fires around, we had the Brothers Bakery and the RW Wood products out there burned and stuff and everything on that. There was quite casualties in that and everything. But then they turned around and Brothers Bakery, they built back so they could have the smell of the donuts in town. So have that done so you can have that.
And they still donate donuts too.
Yeah. But it's just some of these things. I know we went the best plastics up when we covered Mason. We went the best plastics a couple times up there at that place. It's, your dad was on the fire department, Mike. He was on the fire department. He was in on some of that stuff too.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if you were there yet. I don't know.
It was crazy on those. We put some big fires in Longdale Lodge burnt down out there, that and stuff. People like that, I guess. I don't know. We've lost a lot of history in fires. Like the tavern up here in the drugstore was history. You take Michael's Hardware, there's a lot of history upstairs that could have probably been left out, but wasn't left out up there, because Masons used to be up there, a lot up there. That stuff, and also drugs sitting right here in the place where it lost history, but it was rebuilt. And I remember me and Steve Harworth, he used to be the minister at the Presbyterian Church, and we was on this end of it was cold that night, freezing. We'd stand there with the hose, and all of a sudden...
Bill, could you talk into the microphone?
All of a sudden, all of a sudden, they would stand there, and somebody must have shut some pressure down someplace. All of a sudden, the hose went up in the air, and the way we went sliding backwards, and we went down, and Steve says to me, "Did you shut the nozzle off?" And I said, "Yeah, way down." We landed right down, waiting for the water to come up underneath the coats, but it did, but we still froze in those locks and stuff and everything on us. So we had to go back over to the fire station across the street and thaw out to get out of it. So it was interesting. So I mean, it's just what you lose in history in the fires and stuff that you can't really control. That's the big problem. Just like anybody's house is burning, they're losing something that's more important to you and to me. That's like one place we went out on a fire, and one fellow says, my dad had a box or something there sitting on a dresser, and he says, "Can you go get that?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I can go get it," because I knew where he was at in the state. And he says, "You went in there was fire above your head and come back out." And I said, "Yeah, but those stakes get in there." But we just, it's interesting on some of the fires. The day we have is causing a lot of problems. We have a lot of unnecessary runs and stuff. I think we had 300 runs last year, 300 letters, and I think they're running right now around 25, 30 a month almost here lately, the way the things have been going. So it keeps them busy and everything. That's the story. Some of the fires we've had some bad ones, and some bad accidents.
everything you wanted. We had the one down here when Legends burned, that was kind of interesting. If you ever watched the news, they showed this one fellow beating on the window to break it in. The next picture showing when he hit it, the axe went out of his hand, went through the window. And so they found it didn't burn in there and presented him with the axe handle as a gift. There was always some little catches going on around and stuff at the time. So we had one fellow, if you didn't keep your boots up, and we had boots, you got them full of water, so you really need to keep your boots up.
Yeah, that was pre-bunker pants, because they had boots that came to here, and then a rubber piece would come up to go to their thigh. Well, now they have bunker pants that cover everything, but he still has a couple of those boots left in the house. They're good for running around in, but I never understood how you guys could wear them, because they're kind of slippery. What it's like.
Yeah, well, that's what
The first gear we had was a helmet made out of fiberglass or plastic. You had a rubber coat, a pair of gloves, hip boots. And if you smelt the rubber coat, that meant you was too darn close to the fire. So now probably that outfit there costs probably about $500, well, $200 or $300, and for boots is almost $150. But then now the gear we got now, right now, it was figured up the other day, it's about, what's 3,000 for just a coat, 4,000 for, we'll say 5,000 probably,
Used to be higher.
because the boots run you about $400, $500, $600 for the boots. You can't, they keep going up every year. But you got that there, but nobody thinks about the person, the fireman. When the fireman goes in there, he's got about $11,000 worth of equipment he's wearing, because the Scott pack he puts on the back, which is self-contained breathing apparatus, that's $8,000 better. So you're walking, so when they come into your house to save your life, there's about $14,000 equipment on that person to get you out of that house. And they only give you, right now, we got 45-minute tanks. Bring it down, it gives you, you've got to have 20 minutes there to get in, and you've got to have 20 minutes there to get back out. So you got to use the same amount. It used to be you only had about 5 pounds there to 12 out of a half hour. You had about maybe 5 to 10 minutes to get out. But that's what it's doing really, is making the person more of a macho man that goes deeper in to the fire. There's been a lot of people that go in too deep into stuff, so you have to get that bell to go off to tell you to get your lungs back up. So that's about some of the stuff we do. I don't know what else is. Well, we used to be, to talk about the alarm system, first we used to have the siren. It was rang by the telephone. They'd call in and tell the operator he had a fire, and I think it was 6 in the city and 3 outside of the city. And then everybody run to the fire station, got a truck, and away they went. Then pretty soon we went to the,
How many guys hopped on rather than getting in the fire truck?
oh, I think you probably get maybe 2 and 3 in the cab, and you used to get 3 or 3 on the tail button, but you can't do that right now. You can't anymore. You cannot ride in the back end of a fire truck. Everybody has to be encased in the cab in the metal.
Oh, yeah, 'cause you
Yeah.
must
Yeah,
have known
right
the
to
John
back, yeah.
Grover.
Well, my dad too was a fireman, and they hop on the back generally.
Yeah, because,
They go to many fires.
many times I see John going down, we're at Grandma's, going down the sidewalk in shorts, putting on his fire coat, pulling the boots up. They'd stop right here at 12, because he came out of there, and pick him up and off you go.
Yeah.
It's like,
And how many came out of the fire, out of the uptown up here when the fire?
it's like, there was a few that came.
Yeah,
across.
there
Yeah, had that happen one day. I was in the garage, I was working, and they said the bells rang. I never got a telephone. I walked out and I said, "What's going on?" They said, "You get in there and cry." So I jumped in the drone, and I started up, rolled up, and I turned around, walked back to him, and I said, "Where are we going?" "You guys got the call, not I." On the back end of the truck. Where we going? But it worked out pretty good, you know. A lot of people kind of complained about that stuff, you know. I had one customer, he was coming in the garage, and one day it happened, and he lived in the fire district, and he said, "Look at that, all those drunken firemen coming out of that fire station going to a fire." ago, he come in like one day and he had a fire. And I says, well, all the drunken firemen got there and saved your house, didn't they? Help you out? Yes, they did. He wasn't complaining, but most of them would never drive it if they drink. They'll drive if you drink now. It's just too much there to take down the road one day. So there's all kinds of crazy things that really happened. I had one guy come up one day, it was a fire, and he said, I'll go drive. I said, go ahead. I don't really know where he was going or not. I just went back to the bus. It was a small grass fire, so you didn't have to worry about it. But a lot of our fires are big, and we do a lot more helping the ambulance, assisting the ambulance, and assisting the traffic control and stuff like that. It's getting to be a problem. It's getting hard to get people to join that, get on the fire department, because you got 200 and some hours to put in. And to get to be a firefighter, 1 or 2, and you got to take the other courses. You want to be an officer, that's a full week, 40-hour course, and it's all volunteer. And how do you expect people to take 2 days? You have to go 2 nights a week, and then 2 Saturdays out of a month. So I mean, you're eating up their time all the time, every day, 2 nights a week, those hours. And then a lot of people have got young kids now, and they're going with the kids and stuff. But too many things to do. Before, what you had to do was go fight fires. There's another one, that fire that we had a long time ago. I don't know if anybody remembers it or not, but it was when Adamsville burnt. Up there, the stores in Adamsville burnt. That was a long time ago. That was back in about 57 or 58. We burned up in there. And that was, but they got there and put them out and stuff. We had all kinds of fires that you want. They had one time on Harris Street, they had a railroad derailment, and that's the only one I ever remember of ever happening around here, except maybe back 1900s when the old steam engines was up or something around here. But so I think it's getting pretty close to most of the fires that everybody got anything else. So we had Duraform, that was a big fire there back in business out there and stuff. So we had some pretty good sized fires. And then we had the fertilizer plant, which they just went out of business, so it was a big deal. It was near the school and stuff down there. But it's just like sometimes if you're in town on their out every Monday night, they have training and stuff out there. You can stop in and look something where your money's going. A lot of money sitting out there in fire equipment right now. So every time something new comes up, you have to buy something or two or something to do that and stuff. So that's about where it stands right now with all the stuff that goes in fires. Anything else?
Explain the phone chain.
Huh?
Phone chain.
Oh, the phone.
You talked about the siren, now the phone chain.
Oh, the phone change. Yeah, the phone
The
change.
phone tree that you have to do.
Phone change.
The call would come in,
They call them in the telephone.
and then
They
certain
call.
people and certain people call.
They called certain people, and after that, we went to the pagers. So I think pager.
It's hard to believe, I think it's still kind of hard to believe when you have this phone tree that you guys actually got to the scene in a really reasonable amount of time, because it's like, we're using the phone, and now with pagers, it's instant. You know, we know, and some people go to the scene, some people go to the, get the trucks, so everybody's got it figured out now. I guess it took us that long to figure out pagers really work, but it's come a long way, electronics, from the siren to now pagers and everybody being alerted when certain things happen. So that's progress, definitely. The equipment has changed so much. And Bruce will testify. I mean, it's training. You can never train enough for a job that might kill you. And it's just like, trying to get enough young people in there. So if you know anybody, I'm going to do the recruitment speech now. If you know anybody, I'm going to help my brother out here. It's like we could use any young hands that are, want to help the community. It's a lot about the community, and you have to give to your community, and trying to help keep your community safe. But there's a lot of fun times too that we have at the fire station. We haven't mentioned anything with Breakfast with Santa. We had a lot of fun with Breakfast with Santa. I don't know if you've probably been around to see it, but it's kind of fun when we have Santa come in on a fire truck with Mrs. Claus, and the kids are just crazy. They go crazy. And I have to say, Mrs. Claus, she was the one that, there was one little girl, and she just could not believe that Mrs. Claus came with Santa. And she was so excited, but she didn't believe me. So when she saw you, oh my gosh, I thought she was gonna run over and grab you. We kind of held her back, but she got to talk to you. She was so excited, because they don't get to see Mrs. Claus. It's like, so, I mean, there's other things we do. They also have association meetings to keep all of our counties in tune and try to help each other out. We have association meetings. Sometimes we help that out when we're auxiliary, but there's other things that, I mean, countywide, we try to keep everybody in the loop and try to help each other out as much as we possibly can. Trying to think what else is like. The Santa's good, but I think I'm hearing we're going to be changing it up, so you guys might have to pay attention to that soon. Coming, or new news coming soon from the fire department, I think. But it's like anything else funny?
Julie, going back to the pagers, Steve needs to tell you a story about the new pagers. We were on a trip out west, and in the middle of the night, his pager goes off, alerting him that he has a fire. So he looks at the fire, and it tells him exactly how long it's gonna take him to get to the fire.
Yeah, Bruce has had that too. I was thinking, we were laughing, he was up north and he was like, yeah, it's gonna take me 7 hours.
To turn the thing off. I know, run it all day and then you get.
Then you just get there. It's amazing.
When you're on vacation, no.
It's really amazing that they go that far out.
Yeah, it is. We were surprised. I was very
It's
surprised.
funny, I know, because I remember saying, oh, stupid thing went off and I'm not even around.
It's on the cell phone.
It's that cell phone, yeah. Cell phones are really, but it's funny. Yeah, pagers, I guess they're for the better, but sometimes,
Yeah.
no. It's like, they're just crazy. But it's like, yeah, how many cold meals did you have?
Quite a few.
Because it always happens around,
Dinner time or lunchtime, anytime you get ready to eat, something comes up. So it's, there's a lot of things that we've done and stuff, a lot of big fires that we went to, we insisted on some big fires and stuff. I remember the one they talked about, when the American coach burned.
It's not on.
It is
It
on.
needs to be closer or something,
When they had a big fire, the American coach up at Cassopolis burned, and they called for assist, and I guess Jack Haven was driving, and this, I don't remember if Dad was riding with him or what, I guess, but anyhow, come back, and this one fellow would not get out of front of him going up there with the siren going or anything, so Jack just eased up on him real easy and started pushing him. He said pretty soon the guy got a hold of the wheel and started swerving a little bit, and pretty soon he got out of the way so he could go under the fire. You have people who will not get out of your way. It's getting worse and worse sometimes. I don't think they got their radios up too loud or they're listening too much to their cell phones, one of the two. So you run into people like that. I had it happen to me one time going to a fire, and so I didn't push the guy, I stayed behind him, but I'd go this way, I'd go this way, he went back and forth from me. Pretty soon he finally got out of the way, but it was too busy. It wasn't really a good way to pass him anyhow, because it was raining and kind of hailing, so he couldn't do too much. Just sit there right along.
Are people getting off to the side of the road for you when they see your?
I don't know, I don't drive them too much, do they get, I don't know, you have trouble getting off the road, don't they, Bruce?
Yeah, they don't.
They don't.
Yeah, there's some, there's some that don't know you're behind them. And then when a mirror is, you call them from miles. They're on their phone.
Yeah.
The trouble is accidents, I think they've been complaining about accidents, that people won't slow down, or they want to get through no matter what. It's like the road's totally blocked, we gotta get through. It's like, well, you're not getting through because you can't. They don't care. You know, they just don't care. It's like, well, what we're supposed to do, so. And then, you know, you have your equipment, you have your men out there, and it's kind of like, there are people out here trying to save people. Do you not realize that? So a lot of people just don't care, I guess. We haven't quite figured it out. We don't know how to get their attention.
Don't they have big horns?
Oh my
Yes, we
gosh,
got
they're extremely loud.
They're too loud, the horns we got.
He says they're too loud.
That's why you don't really dare to blow them too much in a parade because they're too high, it hurts your ears. Oh, yeah, it's,
Under behind me with a big old horn like that, I'd move.
Most people do, yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, the ambulances have the same thing.
yeah, it's accidents and stuff. I stood one night with a lady, her husband was pinned in the car out there on the red field and stuff. And the calmest person I ever seen around, really an accident. She talked real calm, real stuff, and then she says, they called the helicopter. She caught that over the radio. She said, that means it's bad. I said, no, it means they're getting carried ready for the taking if they have to. I said, this don't mean that he might be out, he's all right, but very quiet. I go up and ask the one EMT, I said, how's things going? He says, okay, I go back and tell her he was okay and stuff. Why, when they got him out of the car, and he was all right, got him on the stretcher, and I think, I don't know whether they took him in or not, but she went over there and she was just broke down right there. But she, all the time though he was in there, she just stood there real calm and quiet and talking and talking and talking. Some people you can talk to and other people you cannot talk to. Or you do not want to listen. So that's just about anything else I can say here about what's going on. I know we talk about some of the stuff with coffee and stuff, that's what got me in trouble, so. So that's, anybody got any questions?
Got a question. You talked about the 300 runs.
A year.
What was the majority of them?
Yeah, well, it was mostly assisted runs and stuff, or,
The 300 runs?
This was over the,
Ambulance.
Now we're running about 30% car accidents and ambulance assist, and then really it boils down to out of 300 calls, we probably have 25 fires of some size, or shape, or whatever, anything in a building. Basically, mostly the medical risk is how they categorize that. So we go on all accidents.
Not very many fake calls.
False alarms, neighborhood disputes over bonfires. Yeah, we do that.
Halloween parties, bonfires.
The new one is the automatic crash detection systems in these cars. They go off and they go to the sheriff's department and call them in. And sometimes you find an accident, and other times you don't. And sometimes you find a really bad one. The last fatal, I think, was called in by OnStar on Daily Road at 2 in the morning, you know. Probably would have sat there a little longer, but it went right through. And, but then a week later, we're chasing one down Redfield. And what I'm hearing from my guys across the state line is, if you have an iPhone with the crash detection on it, you drop it, it registers as a crash, and it goes in and they call in a crash just for dropping the phone. Plays ran 5 of them.
Yeah.
It's like, so it works. There you go. It's a 50-50 mix right now, Casper.
everybody's got an idea of doing something to get rid of you, to get you there, you know. Sometimes you do something to kind of help people. I know we had some people up there on Cass office. I think this kid, he was all right. They was always doing something. That they had the fire there, and one guy I was there, and he sent the truck back. I turned around, I said, send that truck back here. Coming in on the red, I said. This kid, he was so excited, he had to see a fire truck for some reason. I mean, he was something like that, and I thought, I'm just going to do it anyhow. So I had to come back, and the kid settled right down and calmed down and everything. Got to see the fire truck and stuff, and it was all right. everything went real good, and just a small bonfire they had, but somehow somebody called it in on them. And it was kind of a crazy deal, and I stood there talking to him and stuff. He was happy afterwards. I figured, well, we accomplished something anyway. That's about it. Some of the stuff like that we run into people. Some people will talk, and some people want to raise heck, and they want to run over you and everything, so. There's a lot of people that will listen, but some people will not listen. Anything else?
I'm relatively new to the area, and we used to come back up here to visit the Tolbert family and everything. And my husband always teased about Edwardsburg because we lived in Central Florida. Well, I hadn't moved in up here very long, and I heard sirens. And I live down Elkhart Road. My kids live on the corner of Beatty and 12. And I talked to my daughter and I said, what were all the sirens in your area? She said, I don't know. Let me look at the Edwardsburg Fire Department app on my phone. I said, do what? And she said, yeah, Mom, you need to look. And so I did. And she said, you know, she said, Dad would be impressed. He would be impressed. You know? Yeah, I was impressed the other day. Well, when there was a gas leak and an accident and somebody flew out of a vehicle or whatever, and I thought, well, Edwardsburg is up with the times.
Trying. Yeah, they even have a Facebook page. It's almost like,
Yeah.
that's the word, the fire department has Facebook, but yeah. And every now and then it's like, oh, they'll issue an official thing, like such and such happened on this day, and we responded, and it's like, yeah, so we are moving forward, definitely. And it's so crazy how things have moved forward from when we were kids, listening to for the siren or listening for the phone calls, like, oh, Dad's going. But now it's like the pagers go off and you're just like, okay, it's time to go. But it's amazing. I mean, technology can be good to anybody, but in this case, I think it works to get the call for need out and everybody responding and getting to the place. And I know we're kind of hayseeds here, but yeah, we're burgers, right? But it's kind of like, yeah, it's like if you take a tour of the fire station, I'm impressed with what we have and what we've accomplished. And I mean, because we have a rescue boat, we have a Kubota that can do search and rescue for people that are missing that we can help with. And there's all kinds of different things that the fire department can do now that I don't know if we did in the past, I'm sure they probably did, but now we have the tools and some training, and we have some really good guys on the department that really do care, and it's kind of nice. And it really is kind of a brotherhood, a family. We definitely do.
I feel safer than I thought that I would around here.
Well, yeah,
You know, really.
well, because people say, oh, volunteer, oh my gosh. It's like, well, you know, I think it's 70% of the people, firefighters in this country are volunteer. So that's a high majority of people are just volunteering their time and their effort. And, you know, because everybody thinks of New York City or Chicago, all the big cities. Well, they're trained in their city firemen, but I kind of tend to think us people out here in the rural areas have to know a little bit more than just the city guys. They just deal with fire. We have to deal with and some accidents, but we deal with accidents. We deal with farming accidents that are really can be fun. And it's just like, so we, you know, as a fire department out here, I think our volunteers and all around the country know a little bit more sometimes because we have to know more and do more in different situations. And sometimes you have to use your imagination, or sometimes you rely on that training, but then you have to think, how are we going to get this person out? And then you figure it out. Or how are we going to find this person? It's sometimes it's really a challenge, but I do think that a lot of people kind of seem to poo-poo the volunteers, but the volunteers are what making this place run, the whole country run. And it's not all of it. I mean, it's just, so I kind of like, I'm very partial to volunteers. It's like, not that the guys in the city don't do anything, they do. But, you know, some of them are paramedics, they just run on the ambulance. They don't run on the trucks. And sometimes one person just drives a truck, and he's the engineer, and then he kind of gets out and just helps them pump. But sometimes you have to drive the truck, run the pump, grab the hose, and this is all one guy doing it. And we don't have the personnel sometimes. So it's it's amazing what we have done with the volunteer system. And I don't know, I guess I'm a fire brat, I was raised up in it, so I don't know anything different.
That number is amazing, though, 70% of the country.
It's either 70 or 75% is all volunteer. And a lot of people don't understand, get that.
Well, I didn't mention, but the first truck they had, the 36, that was an open chariot. All you had was a windshield in front of you. No doors on the side or nothing, you know. One night we had a good rainstorm going and there was a house on fire on Daly Road and they went down this one thing and the water was across the road and they said they hit that and the water just went off. Straight back over and stuff kept right on going. They got to the fire. But that's the open chariot. It was kind of cold ride, you know. Then they got into, I think the 48 was the first one with the cab on it and stuff.
I don't know, it's like, I mean, I think I remember the 56, you guys had that one forever.
But it's, we've been lucky. Nobody's got really hurt bad or anything over the years that the fire department's been going, so it's, we've been a good, safe operation. Everybody's safety was minded and stuff to go well, so it's, might get a little cut once in a while, but nothing so far big, so. It's been interesting what goes on and stuff. It's so many years. I told him one while back, I said, you can drive. I said, nope, I'm too old to drive, and I'll go drive unless nobody else is around and can walk to get to it. I said, I'll probably bring it to you if you want it, but that'd be it. It's not going to drive it. So, worked out real good. Everybody got along. Anything else?
Well, my couple uncles down in the Plymouth Marsh County area was firemen, volunteer firemen, and so I'm used to, the calls and things like that. Well, then when my son lived in Cass, joined the fire department, and I was just really impressed about, they were always going for training for this and training for that. He was on the fire department for 27 years. And and I knew that, they're doing all this training, but then he sends me this picture of him in a water rescue. And, the full gear and stuff on. Here he is in Stone Lake. And, and I just never thought about the water part of it and like this, and so then made me worry even more about him and stuff, but they were always going to trainings of this or that or whatever, and the way that they, watched out for one another, it's just, it's just not like oh yeah, I'll go grab my hose and help with this fire. There's just so much to it, and I think that's why it's so hard to get people to commit to that, because number one, the danger, and then the extra time that you've got to do this training. You have to go into it knowing what you're doing.
Definitely, I mean, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I think, and if you're community minded, then you tend to be more into that, the police or with fire or ambulance. I mean, definitely, it's like, but they do all kinds of training too with, I was just thinking the gas company, they do some training with, and when they do the stuff on the ice, it's like, as the guy goes in, is that the probate goes in the water?
I guess never, I knew he was running into buildings, on fire, but, when you come into this water situation,